This lineup you see on the screen is a top projected one tonight for Raiders Rams on Thursday Night Football. There's a lot you can learn from it and the other projected optimal lineups. So in this video, I'll show you how everyone else will build their lineups tonight, along with some key players and stats. And by the end, you'll see some unique ideas for lineups and 3 pro tips to get different on tonight's DraftKings Showdown with $500,000 to first place. But as always, let's start with the odds for the game. The game itself is a 43.5 over-under with the Raiders favored by 6.5 points on the road. That gives Las Vegas a 25-point implied total, and the Rams an 18.5 implied total at home. The top 3 projected players for this game are Josh Jacobs, Davante Adams, and Derek Carr in that order. So you'll see a lot of lineups with those 3 and a lot of Raiders overall. Jacobs and Adams are projected to be owned in 70 to 80% of lineups according to Stokastic.com, while Carr will be closer to 60% owned. These 3 are also projected to be the highest owned at captain, with roughly 20% expected ownership there for Jacobs and Davante and over 10% for Carr. Point being, these guys will be in a lot of lineups tonight, so one way to get different is to fade at least one of them. But we'll talk more about that in a little bit. John Wolford currently has the best projection for the Rams at 15.2 DK points, but he's questionable until he goes through pregame warmups. If Wolford is out, Baker Mayfield will start and probably be awful after being claimed off waivers from the Panthers. The other Rams will see the field, guys like Van Jefferson, Ben Skronik, Tyler Higbee, and Cam Akers. They all project for less than 10 DraftKings points, and they're all projected to be owned by less than a quarter of the field. As a result, they make for easy ways to get different if they break one lucky play or fall in the end zone for a touchdown. So let's go back to our optimal lineup build on Fantasy Cruncher to see the unifying themes of how everybody's going to be building tonight. Josh Jacobs comes up the most at captain at 76% of the top projected lineups there. He and Davante Adams both appear in 25 out of 25 optimal lineups. And Keelan Cole, he looks to be the $200 guy who makes it into every lineup to afford the best plays. Cole is a 5.4 DK point projection and even comes up as captain to jam in the high dollar plays. But the most important bit of information, that's in Fantasy Cruncher's Team Stacks tab. 4 and 5 man Raiders builds come up in 22 out of 25 lineups, which means tonight a lot of people will think the Rams are unlikely to get 3 or more players into a winning lineup. If the production concentrates for Davante Adams, Josh Jacobs, or any other Raiders, you could see a build with more Rams be the thing that wins it all tonight. Now, 4 Rams or a 5-man Rams onslaught is not the most likely outcome, but it's likely a wise move to place some lineups that fit that narrative because you're going to jump a lot of the field if it hits. In a little bit, I'm going to show you some unique lineup builds that I think make sense on the slate. But first, let's talk about some noteworthy stats for Raiders Rams. I mentioned this one in yesterday's Stats That Matter video, which you can find in the pinned comments down below. But it may blow your mind how bad the Rams have been at defending top receivers this year. Jalen Ramsey has maintained his shutdown rep, but the Rams have been 31st in the league versus wide receiver ones with a 29% DVOA boost to the position, according to Football Outsiders. And they've been just as bad versus wide receiver twos, 30th in the league with a 30% boost to the position. They also give up a high 0.142 estimated points added per dropback and a 50% success rate overall on QB throws. So Derek Carr could be live to create a lot of production, perhaps enough to make it into that captain spot. It's also worth pointing out that the Rams D actually has been good this year versus the run. That may change with Aaron Donald out for the year, but the Rams minus 0.156 EPA on run plays is one of the best marks in the league. Same for their low 35% success rate allowed on runs and a negative 18% DVOA versus run plays. Is that a reason to fade Josh Jacobs? Probably not on this slate. But is it a reason to consider moving away from it captain? Maybe. The Rams also have a theoretically easy matchup against the Raiders defense. The Raiders give up a league-high 52% success rate on dropbacks and a league-high 0.185 EPA, as well as a 28% passing DVOA boost. I'd have more faith in John Wolford if he can overcome his Q tag to start. But this would also be one of the easiest spots for Baker Mayfield to debut if it comes to that. Lastly, you're going to see a lot of Raiders kicker Daniel Carlson in lineups. Data-wise, it makes sense due to a good projection for Carlson and the fact that the Raiders kick field goals at a 21% rate, which is first in the league. The Rams D also allow a high 22% field goal rate for opponents. That said, kicker is always a volatile position that can get overowned on showdown slates. So avoiding Carlson and taking another skill position player could be a way to get different in Raiders onslaught builds. Now I'm going to show you some lineups I've identified that are less likely to get duped than others, which is how we landed on key low lower-owned players like Leonard Fournette on Monday's slate. But first, if you find this video useful or interesting, please smash that like button and subscribe to Splash Play. We've got new videos daily, and I promise it'll make you smarter about how to attack fantasy football. And don't forget to leave a comment telling me who you think crushes Showdown tonight. Now let's talk about these unique lineups that I've identified. Now, you can play them if you want, but the best way to use them is as ideas of how to build your own unique lineups. Check out this lineup with Josh Jacobs at captain, Davante Adams, John Wolford, Tutu Atwell, Daniel Carlson, and Austin Trammell. By taking 3 Rams, we're getting more unique, but also still playing the best of the Raiders. We also fade Derek Carr and assume his production gets concentrated solely Davante Adams, who can easily outscore Carr thanks to full point PPR and receiver bonuses on DraftKings. We also left $600 on the table. The more salary you have unspent, the more likely your lineup is to be unique, even if you play popular plays like those 3 Raiders. Here's another unique lineup that makes a big stand. Mac Hollins at captain, Josh Jacobs, Derek Carr, John Wolford, Daniel Carlson, and Brandon Powell. We move away from Davante Adams, and what's one way that he fails? A guy like Mac Hollins having an outlier day and taking Derek Carr with him. Austin Trammell is also a guy who comes up a lot as a Rams value play at $600. But Brandon Powell's been more involved and probably has more upside. And again, the $900 in salary left on the table helps us get away from the human tendency to want to upgrade every player if you have salary left over. This last one is getting real weird, and I think it'd be the only lineup of its kind, even in a big DraftKings Showdown tournament. You have Davante Adams at captain, Derek Carr, Matt Gay, Cam Akers, Tutu Atwell, and Zamir White. Josh Jacobs' calf issue has had him questionable to play the last few weeks, so what if they call him off early due to injury, or because the game is safely in hand thanks to Davante Adams? You would see Zamir White get his first meaningful work, and it only takes one play for Tutu Atwell or a luck box TD for Cam Akers to sneak in. Matt Gay also provides natural leverage against his fellow kicker Daniel Carlson, since typically only one kicker makes winning Showdown lineups. And with no Josh Jacobs or the Rams' best projected player John Wolford, we've likely gotten away from a lot of the field. Now, it's more likely that Josh Jacobs does get there in utility, but if you want to win it all, it's all about maximizing the opportunity if the game breaks in a unique way. Now onto what I think is the most helpful part of the video, 3 pro tips to get different. Number 1, avoid Jacobs and Davante at captain. Both guys have the highest ceiling on the slate, but everyone playing tonight knows that. Targeting any other pieces at captain likely gets you ahead of 40 to 50% of the field if they somehow succeed. And you can still play Adams and Jacobs at utility because they do have good floor projections. My second pro tip is an ugly one, but maybe play Cam Akers. And to be clear, I think Cam Akers has been a wild disappointment as a player, but he saw 17 rushes and 1 target last game versus Seattle. While rookie Kyron Williams, he took the backseat with just 3 rushes and 1 target. And Cam Akers is expensive for how much people don't like playing him. But if he scores, he could end up the only Ram in a winning lineup. And number 3, try playing 3 or less Raiders. A large portion of the field will concentrate around a Raiders blowout. But if the Rams somehow steal this one, or at least keep it competitive, these Rams are priced to have upside. It only takes one big play for the receivers or even a fluke TD for the Rams D. There are a lot of ways the Raiders roll in this one, but still give up enough production to make the Rams players useful, especially in lineups where you anticipate the Raiders production concentrating for a few guys. So there you have it. That's everything that I'm seeing right now for Raiders Rams on Thursday Night Football. Watch the inactives closely, Raider, today because John Wolford's status is key. And there are a lot of Rams receivers who could make a winning lineup if they just end up active. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to Splash Play before you go. Follow me at Chris Spags and follow this show at Splash Play Pod. Good luck tonight. If I don't take down that 500K to first, I hope you do. So I'm really hoping that I win the showdown tonight because yesterday was Alex's birthday. We went to this very nice Japanese place in Philly, Morimoto. It's a chain, so you probably know it. Point being, expensive as shit. First time I've spent over $1,000 on a dinner for just 2 people. And I want to go back there. I want the $2,600 sake that I would never get right now. But trust me, if I win $500,000 to first place, oh boy, I'm going to be the biggest sake boy in the world.